Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. I'm really excited to tell you about this one because this is going to be a pony customization based on one of my favorite cities in the world, Barcelona, which feels closer than ever because I'm actually going there in a few days to meet my new nephew. So let me tell you about the base and what we're going to do today. This is a My Little Pony Generation 1 Posey pony. You can find more information about it here on my website. And it's quite a common pony and we're going to completely change it. So no backstory for this one. Sorry. Okay, first step. As usual, we're going to start by cleaning the pony. Even though we're going to repaint and rebuild the texture of this poor Posey, we still want to have like a clean surface to get started. But it's going to be a quick clean. I'm just going to use some warm water, soap, and then a little bit of acetone to remove the symbol. Again, we don't need to, but I like having a tabula rasa pony. I'm also going to be using this brush, which has, I couldn't say that, I recorded this part so many times. Brush which has strong bristles. I'm actually not sure what it's supposed to be used for. I think maybe for cleaning dishes, but I feel it's like a step up from my toothbrush. Not my toothbrush, a second toothbrush I use for ponies. In case you are new to restoring ponies or really any vintage toy, any toy, not vintage, any dirty toy, hot water, any soap, could be dish soap or hand soap, and the toothbrush or any brush, again, should do the trick. That's all you need and you will have a completely different looking creature. Although in this case, I'm also going to use a little bit of acetone, like I said, to remove the symbols. Be careful with the acetone because it will remove any paint, including the eyes. And this is something I'm doing differently in this video, it's always a good idea to wash off the acetone with some water and soap as soon as you're done. So what I'm doing here is just leaving the bowl next to me. I'm going to dry the surface I want to acetone off and then just soak the pony again in the water. This is just in case the acetone or there is any leftover acetone in the pony because it could damage the plastic long term. Also, just to keep in mind, if you're going to be using this, it is mostly okay on the hands. Wash it off also as soon as you're done and make sure you're working in a well ventilated area. Don't breathe the acetone, like don't put it right next to your face. That's the only thing you have to be careful about. I learned this the hard way. So I always try to mention these things and I think from now on, yeah, I will mention it in every single video just in case because I don't want anyone to go through like burning throat or things like that. Next, simple step. We just have to remove the bits of hair that were left over when this pony got a haircut and tape, mask the eyes because we are going to, after we are done with the mosaic part, which is coming next, we're going to prime the whole pony with some spray paint. For this part, the easiest way to do it is to actually soak the pony in some hot water. This will make the plastic much softer and this means that the hair will be easier to remove. In this case, I don't know why I chose not to do that, so instead we're going to break some tools and struggle with removing the hair. But luckily I got these tweezers that are made of, I assume, maybe steel. They're very strong. They have survived all of my improvisations and they are quite good for pushing the hair and then pulling the hair from the inside out. Does that make sense? I was trying to keep calm in this video because I noticed that I tend to speak very fast and when I get excited it goes even faster, and when I'm recording it's extreme because I want to like remove all the pauses. But I have been told that it can feel a little relentless. So I will try to do what I have noticed other content creators do and just speak more naturally. Let silence exist. Now whether this lasts 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 second, we'll have to see. Anyway, back to the pony. Excitement. I really want to tell you about the inspiration for this pony. That's why also this part is like, okay, let's just get it out of the way because now is the exciting part is coming, the mosaic making. And I just did what I said I was trying not to do. Let's look at the video. So I'm using masking tape, this like very tiny masking tape I got from a hobby shop. I love this masking tape, I have so many ideas for it. However, you can use any tape for this. You can use potentially something like blue tag or yeah, anything that will block the paint. We're not gonna prime yet, but I wanted to make sure this was ready before we do the next step, which is the one I really want to tell you about. A couple of times I have been asked, what do you do with the ends of the cable ties that you use for rehairing the tails once you cut them off. If this doesn't make any sense now, it will once we do the rehairing of the tail for this pony. But the answer is I keep them, and I dream of 100 ways in which I could use them. I tend to imagine things with spikes, like a hedgehog pony. But the one idea I have had for a very long time, since I read, I think, the first comment about this, was what about mosaics? You know, those very, very little tiles that you can use to create patterns or to create entire like scenes. Now I know I said, oh, this is one of my favorite things. I have a lot of favorite things, but mosaics are definitely like in my top 20, I would say. And just like they were easy to make in the past, they are also really easy to make now, because you're basically just using leftovers. So what we're going to do is glue these little bits onto the pony, and we're going to imitate a mosaic design. And while we do that, I'm going to bore you with tons of historical facts, examples, stories, and much more. You have unleashed me. I was always such a shy, introverted, isolated person, and now I just love talking to the microphone and sharing all sorts of ideas that come to mind. So thank you again for this opportunity. Now, I am, of course, very far from being the first person to use mosaics on anything. Mosaics were actually used in 3000 BC, so 5000 years ago in Mesopotamia, and they combined not just like like ceramics itself, but glass, stones, and a lot of other materials. Mosaics were also very popular in Greece. They didn't just do patterns, but also like pictures. They're incredible, and you can still see so many of them. And of course, Rome. Wealthy Romans tend to use them for decorating their houses and their public baths and public buildings. A quick note about the video: you can't really see the white tiles in this case. Everything is going to be primed into the same color, but I wanted some smaller tiles. That's why I was using the white cable ties. This was so much work, but also it was so much fun to make. I recorded some parts, but I did this while watching some videos, like in front of the monitor, and I think it has become one of my favorite memories now, just like gluing tiles while watching something or listening to something. Which reminds me, if you like to listen to historical things like this, then I am going to be making a few more videos in my gaming channel, Retrogeekchannel, I think it is, I don't remember, where I already did one Greek building and share the story of that building. I'm going to be making more of those because I really enjoy building stuff and sharing what I know or what I learned or what I'm reading about them. Alternatively, or what I think I might do also, is save the audio as a sort of a, not really a podcast, because it's going to be like when I'm talking, I'm just improvising. I have no script or anything like that. I can try to maybe write a script, but I think I'm gonna also save the audio in case you want to have like a little crafting companion type of, I don't want to call it a podcast, the audio stream. Then you can maybe have those. I don't know. I would love to hear your opinion. Let me know if this is something that you will be interested in. I just love talking about archaeology and history, which I haven't done much yet. So let's go back to mosaics. There are quite a few pieces I wanted to like showcase here, buildings or art pieces, and there is one in particular that might not be the first thing you think about when you think about mosaics, because obviously Roman, Greek mosaics are very popular, but the Maya in Central America also use mosaics, and there is this mask. This is the death mask of Pacal, who had been a ruler who died at 81 years old in the city of Palenque. He actually ruled for almost, let me calculate, 70 years, 69 years. Oh my god, I could make a whole video just about this find. Please check the link in the description that tells the story of how this was found. It's just incredible. There's so much to talk about mosaics. Okay, other examples of Central American art with mosaics. I mean, I do have a lot of footage here that I could show you. This took me so many hours, but I don't want to bore you. Another classic, beautiful, in this case Aztec mosaic art is this two-headed serpent. It's made of wood and is covered in turquoise and oyster shell. This was a chest piece, and it's really important in the context of Aztec culture because it embodies this the cycle of life and death. There's so much I would like to say about this, but basically rebirth, the underworld, fascinating not just on itself, but because of its link to the modern Day of the Dead or Dia de Muertos. Some other examples of beautiful mosaics. Here is a Greek head of Medusa. You can see the little snakes. And here is a Roman example of a girl. So beautiful. But although we could travel all around the world exploring the different mosaic designs, the one that inspired my pony is much closer to us in terms of time and to me in terms of space. And it's like I said at the beginning, Barcelona. Specifically the designs made by Antoni Gaudí. So quick look at what the pony looks like now that the body is ready. I'm going to work on the head next. So one of the things I like the most about mosaics, and one of the things that I loved about Barcelona and some of the mosaic designs there, is that like the principle of mosaics, when it's about like these little pieces, is reusing material. Sorry, long pause there. I had another idea cross my mind. But yeah, reusing, recycling, turning something that is broken, for example, a plate, a tile, into a new thing. And just like in the past, people used pebbles and stones. Well, pebbles and stones I guess are the same. Like I meant more like gemstones and glass. We are now in modern times using plastic, because if there is something that is destined for the rubbish bin, the landfill, or well, in this case I think these are recyclable, but still the energy required to recycle these needs to be accounted for, and also what you can do, how many times you can recycle, etc. All of this means in my eyes that it's the perfect material to use in a project like this. So we're getting close to the end of this section. Don't worry if you are about the colors of the tiles, about some of the textures. This is all going to change once we prime the pony. One thing I would have liked to have done differently is maybe use some triangles, not just squares and rectangles. But I guess I'm still in pixel mode from the last video. In any case, it is time to prime. And I recorded it. So let's do that. I will leave you with the sounds of the spray can. And I'll see you very, very soon for the next stage, which is color. Here is the pony after the priming. And as you might be able to notice, the surface of the tiles is quite good, quite uniform. We don't really see a difference now between the black and the white. However, all the crevices between the tiles are still showing some of the original colors. So what I'm going to do next is just add a layer of white acrylic paint. I'll do this with the brush and try to get into all the little holes. And also do the area around the eyes, because once I removed the tape, you could see that some parts were still yellow. And now let's talk a little bit more about Gaudí and Barcelona and this technique that he came up with, kind of reinvented, because as we covered, this is something that has been used for a while, but he definitely used it in a very, very novel way, because he used it for architecture and for parks. I'm not sure if parks are also architecture, right? For park design, building design, and of course the Sagrada Familia, the cathedral in Barcelona, which many people don't know also has mosaics. Quick note, I first decided to paint the pony using my Dopamine series colors. These are the ones I sell on my Etsy shop. However, you will see for yourself in a little bit that the results were not exactly what I wanted. They resembled something that you might be able to tell already. If not, I'll tell you once we get to the end. But in the meantime, back to Gaudí. So one thing that he used to say was that originality exists in returning to the origin. And the origin for most of us can be considered nature and the forms and the force of nature. I don't actually know why I said for most of us, because I don't think there are robots watching, but yeah, origin, nature, that was for him the source of all inspiration and knowledge. If you are in Barcelona and if you go see the Sagrada Familia, I fully recommend you take a look at the little museum that is underground. I hope it's still there, it was the last time I went, because it shows all the sketches and all the ideas and how he turned all of these shapes and patterns you can find in nature into decorations, structures for the building. It's really, really interesting. I am going a little bit off topic because this is not about mosaics, and I still want to tell you a little story I heard. Not mine, just a story, a traditional story from Spain. But quickly back to the video. What does this look like? It doesn't look like mosaics or Barcelona. It looks like post-it notes on a pony. So luckily I decided to revert this and start again, because I know we can do better, and we shall. If you look at this picture here, this is the lizard. It's in Parkwell, also in Barcelona, also designed by Gaudi. And this is kind of what I had in mind when I started thinking about the mosaics. And this is something John mentioned when I showed him the post-it pony. So why don't we try to create some kind of shape using color shades? So what I did was choose 3 shades for blue, pink and green, because I feel those are colors that can go quite well with the original vintage pony design. And starting with the blue, I create this wave across the body and around the leg, and I instantly felt much better. I think this is the way to go. It's still not as varied, not as colorful as the mosaics that served as the initial inspiration, but I think it's much closer now. So quickly back to what we were saying. If I had to connect now mosaics and biology, or this back to the origin, nature inspiration, I think fractals will be a good middle ground. Fractals are patterns that repeat at different scales. So if you zoom in, so to say, you will find a shape. If you zoom out, that shape will still kind of exist. It's like self-similar structure. For example, our lungs have a branching structure, and this is a way to actually use space and resources more effectively or efficiently. And this is where we go full circle and talking about sustainability. Hello, Poppin. Oh, Toby. Gaudi actually condemned the waste that was generated by the excesses of the Industrial Revolution. So in a way, this trencar, I don't know if I forgot to say it, technique is a Catalan word that he created, where he was using ceramic tiles and plates and cups. We're kind of trying to do something similar using very humble cable ties. And because our cable ties have no color except for black and white, are they colors? I remember learning that they are not, they're lights, I don't know. We're going to use instead some acrylic markers. And this is where I would like to add my second thought about how to improve this idea. First, I said use some triangular shapes or other irregular shapes. And second, maybe add some little texture patterns to the tiles themselves. I was going to continue exploring this topic a little more, but I think I want to tell you the story. This is a short one. It's called El Hombrecito del Azulejo, or The Little Man on the Tile. It was written by Manuel Mujica Lainez. And in a way, it also connects with the last video. I did the one before last, the repaint of the Polly Pocket house, because remember the story about the big house? That also had tiles. This is the month of the tiles and ceramics and mosaics. A very short version of the story is this. Daniel is gravely ill. 2 young doctors leave his house solemnly, whispering that the night will decide his fate. In the moonlit courtyard, death awaits by the well, but hidden in the entryway wall is Martinito, a tiny blue-tiled man accidentally brought from France and Daniel's secret friend. As death watches, Martinito steps down from his tile and charms her with tales of his homeland, knights, witches and tram drivers. He makes her laugh. Time slips by. When she checks her watch, Daniel's moment has passed. Enraged, Death shatters Martinito's tile and throws the pieces into the well, but Daniel survives. Days later, searching for his friend, Daniel weeps by the well. Then, during a routine cleaning, workers pull up something unexpected. The tile, whole again, Martinito smiling in the center. Because if a little tiled man can outwit death, surely the love of a child can too. This is a really cute story. It's much longer, but this should give you an idea of what the topic is. Basically, a child's friend distracting death, because once your moment has passed, it has passed. And it has some really powerful, like, mental images for me. The well, the tile. The tile in the, I think in the longer story, is described as white and blue, or at least that's how we learned about it. I remember being in school, and this was a story that we were told, usually in art class, and then we were asked to draw the story or draw the tile. Actually, if you want to practice Spanish, this is also a great story to read. I actually just checked again, and this is an Argentinian writer. I'm not sure why I thought it was a Spanish story, like an older Spanish story, because the main character, the Hombrecito del Azulejo, is actually from France. But I think it's because there is another little story, a song or a poem that turned into a song that is called The Romance of the Man in Love and Death. And it's a somewhat similar concept. A man is going to see his beloved, but death is chasing him, and it's a really nice song. I'll leave the name so you can maybe look for it. But back to the pony, this is the result, and I'm pretty happy with it. So let's retouch the eyes next. There isn't that much that needs to be done for the eyes, but I did get rid of the eyelashes when I was priming. So I'm going to bring those back and redo the black lines. And then, of course, add my little custom second white dot. I chose, I don't know why, again, you know, hindsight, I chose to do 3 eyelashes on top, 4 even. I think I was trying to like come up with other ways to show that these are customized ponies. I don't know, maybe the tiles give it away. You suggested I can do different shapes for the white part of the eye, and I think this is a great idea. I just wasn't sure what to do in this case. I think maybe a square would have worked. A square reflection. The textures here, oh sorry, I just had a sip of a really bad drink, like bad in terms of, I don't know, taste design. Dragon fruit and yuzu. If you're in the UK, you might recognize this. Nope. The texture of the priming and paint and the glue made the eyelashes a little difficult to paint. Oh my god, I can't shake it off, this taste. It's so strange. But let's varnish the pony and then we'll go get some water. I'm going to use gloss varnish from Vallejo. Yeah, Vallejo. I'm going to use a thick layer to try to make this look more like tiles, like the Spanish tiles I love so much. I think I'm having a mild allergic reaction. My voice is taken now. Everything is okay. I already had some water, no difference. So I'm gonna leave this in because it will explain why my voice sounds different now. I don't know, it sounds very different for me and more nasal. I should be singing you the song of the man in love. No, I won't. Okay, next section. I got some new hair. So if you follow the channel, you might remember a pony I did for Evelyn. She actually sent me some hair alongside with the pony to repair. You know, I do this sometimes. If you can send me a pony that means a lot to you and I can repair it for you for free. Although I will take years to reply to your email, but I will eventually. So she sent me this hair and I love the texture, and it's a hair I had worked with before. From what I understand, it's called Canecalon. Don't know how to say that. If you're looking for it on a marketplace, you can maybe search for festival hair, but I did acquire a lot of colors because I love it, so you can also find it on my Etsy shop. And I even bought some like natural colors like blonde and brown in case you want to do like a realistic pony or a realistic doll. And this is exactly the same hair you are seeing here. It has this amazing like crimple texture. It's super nice to touch. The colors are great, like really good colors. And you had some shades that you can't usually find in nylon color. So I picked these 3 colors that will kind of match the tiles. I didn't actually buy any green hair. I think it would have been better to, instead of this fuchsia, to use some green. But anyway, I'll definitely be using a little more of this hair. Please let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, then I won't use it as much. But if you do like it and you buy any other hair from the shop, I will include some like free samples of these because the ones I use, the braids I use, I turn into little gifts. I'm also thinking now that if you have trouble working with the nylon hair or the acrylic hair, because it can be quite difficult to work with this hair, you have to be like very precise. I'm not very precise. I have very clumsy hands. So this hair is actually a much better option. So if you have any fine motor disability or like difficulty with movements of the hands, I would definitely consider using this hair. And if you want to try it, no matter who you are, where you are, if you buy anything else from the shop, just let me know that you want to try this hair and I will include some for you. I have talked to a few people that would love to do restorations, but they can't actually do it because of like physical problems, and I will try to find more alternative like ways. You can always clean the ponies, which is a super nice satisfying process with water and soap. And for frizzy hair, you can use lots of conditioner and some hot water as well. It gives really good results very quickly. For the paint, that is a bit more tricky, but what I'm thinking, what I really want to do is try to print some stickers. You know those water slide stickers? That would be great if we can like the correct creative community can create some symbols and eyes and make them quite easy to just place on ponies. I think I have to look into that. If you are someone that like does like painting planes and model kits and stuff like that, and you know anything about water slide stickers, we have a channel in the Discord. The Discord server link is down below. It's a really cool place, and we have a channel called The Labs, where I like to talk about, well, we like to talk about different experimental techniques and things like that. It would be great if you had any ideas. You can share them there. Shout out to our wonderful, amazing, incredible moderators, Paradise Dreams, Sunset, and Jeep. I was so terrible at keeping up with the Discord. It was this beautiful but chaotic space, and you have brought so much joy and organization, and it's a wonderful place. Please consider joining us. Alright, so shall we look at the pony again? I decided to do little stripes of color. If you look at the vintage ponies, they usually have, if they're rainbow mane or rainbow hair, they'll have 4 colors maximum. I pause because some foreign ponies have 3, but yeah, 4 maximum. And I like this. I like the big blocks of color, but I wanted to try something a little smaller. Oh, as I'm saying this, I just remembered. I think it's the Colombian ponies that can have mixed hair. So the hair is not organized into stripes, but all mixed up. And I definitely want to try that. If you have, you can share your results. I think that could be really nice. One thing that might happen that could also be a very interesting thing is if you mix colors that result in some other color when you look at it from afar. For example, you mix blue and yellow, and will the pony look green? I mean, it could be a really cool way to get colors that don't normally are not normally used or exist in nylon hairs. Oh wow, how time flies. The video is almost over. Okay, before we look at the results, thank you so much to all the patrons who have helped me turn this little hobby I had into a I don't know, a project that has, I think, touched a lot of people's lives. So thank you so much for your help, and I hope I can make you proud. Okay, should we look at the results? A very quick preview first of what the pony looked like. We had this beautiful Posey ready for a transformation, and after a few days of cutting and gluing tiles, this is the new Mosaic pony. I unfortunately didn't have time to style the hair, so I just wet it and let it rest down, if that makes sense. It is still fluffy, just not as mohawky. Now, surprisingly, I am fairly happy with this result. I think the tiles kind of look like tiles. The hair is giving me all sorts of sensory things. But more importantly, I think I learned a lot of new things about using this material, about paint, about kanekalon, and about priming, which is something that you have mentioned in the past. And overall, I'm quite happy I got to execute an idea that was floating in my mind. I definitely want to keep pushing myself to try new things. And yeah, not be scared to just do things that are maybe a little more unconventional. I'm not saying this is super unconventional, but it's a first step. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to try some new things as well. Remember, you can get the hair from my Etsy shop as well as other types of things, lots of things there. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye bye!